Somebody call Jeremy Piven because we are on the road to Summerfest, otherwise known as Summerslam 2018. Welcome to Call It in the Ring, a wrestling discussion with Marcus Stewart, and we are recapping Monday Night Raw, July 16th, 2018. We are on the fast track to the second biggest show of the year, and I am so excited. Finally, we can get to something interesting. It's been a rough last couple of months for Raw, but now we've got some focus, now we've got some direction. But first, just a reminder that if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can also download and subscribe to the show on iTunes. It is Marcus Writes About Games. You can find all of my episodes of Call It in the Ring, as well as my other podcasts that I do around video games. So, go there, subscribe, and you'll get new episodes of this show, as well as other podcasts automatically each and every week. You can also do the same thing on Podbean / Google Play. Same name, Marcus Writes About Games. So, let's just hop right to it. So, Monday Night Raw. We kicked off with Kurt Angle coming out and saying, "Brock, get your big ass out here, otherwise I am going to rip that ugly red belt right off of your waist," which the crowd in Buffalo, New York was super duper excited for. There was even a chant for "strip the title," which kind of says all it needs to be said about the state of the Universal Championship and how seemingly over the fans are with the whole Brock Lesnar thing. And I don't mean over in the good sense of like, man, he's so over, he's popular. It's like over as in, oh no, we're tired of this shit. Just get the belt back on Raw by any means necessary. Paul Heyman came out and said that Brock was not there, which Angle came very close to just stripping the belt from him, but a very panicked Paul Heyman reasoned with Kurt, saying that, hey, Brock thinks it'd be cool if he fought for the UFC title while Universal Champion. Wouldn't that be awesome for the company? Kurt's like, nah. So, eventually they hash it out a bit, but then as they're doing it, or at least Kurt says that, his ultimatum is that Brock will defend the title at SummerSlam no matter what. And this brings out a Bobby Lashley, victorious, hot off the heels of his victory against Roman Reigns last night at Extreme Rules, and he, just says like, yeah, I want to fight Brock, in his kind of like mean turtle voice. I don't know, like Bobby Lashley reminds me of like a really muscly turtle man. I don't know. I think it's the shape of his head. And also his kind of, I don't know what a turtley voice is, but that's kind of what Bobby Lashley has. He has it's like either a turtley voice or a somewhat slightly tougher Ryan Gosling, because Ryan Gosling has a little boy voice. But I digress. So, he's like, hey, I want to do this. And then that brings out Drew McIntyre. And as soon as Drew's music hit and he came out by himself, I was like, like it was like the heavens parting in the sky, because as I've made it known before, I adore Drew McIntyre, and I have been wanting to see him in that main event scene pretty much since he came back to NXT. He always felt like a weird fit for NXT, because he's huge and he is booked as a good guy, and he captured the NXT title in relatively short order. But I always felt like he was a guy that's like, nah, he doesn't really need to go through NXT. He's ready. Just, throw him back up on the main roster. So seeing him in the position that I've been wanting to see him just makes my soul just smile. But, he comes out and is like, I want the Universal title as well. That's a horrible Scottish accent. Like, hold on. I want the championship. I want the championship for Air Scotland. I'm sorry if you're Scottish and listening to this, because that, yeah. Anyways, let's just move on. This brought out Elias, who, reminded us that he has an album coming out apparently July 23rd. This eventually led to Finn Balor coming out and saying, hey, I want some of this too. And then eventually Seth Rollins, which I was also like, eee, because again, I want that Seth Brock match. And then it's brought out Roman Reigns, who collectively everyone should have just rolled their eyes in the ring at Roman and just been like, the only, like, you have been a cornucopia of failure when it comes to facing Brock Lesnar. Get the hell out of here and go sit down somewhere. But, Kurt decided to resolve the situation by making 2 triple threat matches between the 6 of them. So the first triple threat match would be between Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, and Roman Reigns. The second would take place later in the night between Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and Elias. And then the winners of those 2 matches will face each other next week. And then the winner of that match will be the number 1 contender for the Universal Championship and will face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. And the first triple threat kicked off right away after this relatively long segment. And that was the Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Roman Reigns triple threat. And this was an awesome match. Great way to kick off the show. I had a really fun time with this. All 3 guys looked great. Drew hit a big flip dive at one point over the top rope. That was awesome. And everybody just looked really strong. At one point, Drew, like a smart person, brought in a chair because there's no disqualifications in a triple threat and used it. And then Balor turned the tables by taking the chair, and probably one of the biggest pops of the night after he laid out Drew with the chair as revenge for Drew hitting him with the chair, he went to town on Roman Reigns with that chair. And everybody was really happy about that. Everybody was really happy with Finn Balor in this match in general. He was easily the crowd favorite in this match. Which makes sense because, Drew's a heel and Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. So, but Finn, I really thought they were going to pull the trigger on Finn here. Finn came very close to winning this, and I was on the edge of my seat because I wanted him to win. But alas, it was Roman Reigns hitting after Drew McIntyre hit the Claymore on Finn accidentally. He was aiming for Roman, but Roman dodged. And then he turned around and got met with a big old, he got Superman punch, I think. And then Finn got speared and pinned, which gave Roman the victory. And, all you could say was boo. It's like, damn it. The guy that lost clean last night gets to be in the match and win, which, that's nothing new in WWE, but damn it. I was like, I really wanted Finn to win that. But, yeah, Roman Reigns is our winner, but it was a really, really great way to open the show. This led to, backstage, we had Kurt Angle talking to Bayley, wanting to know how the therapy sessions went. And at first I thought to myself, like, you don't know? We saw it on TV, but then I realized, like, oh, wait, they actually didn't really show anything on TV because those segments were kind of a waste of time. So, yeah, actually, he has no idea how that went. And, Bayley said, hey, it didn't go very great. We still, I guess, hate each other. And this story's weird because Kurt says that, well, I'm going to give you guys one last chance, and you guys are going to team. Well, first he says, on Raw, we settle things in the ring, which is something that, in my mind, I've been going like, why hasn't he said that before? Like, just have them fight each other. But, so I thought it was like, oh, finally he's going to, like, come to a sentence and be like, yeah, you guys should just settle it in a match. But he's like, no, I'm going to have you guys team together one more time. And if you guys can't work together, I'm sending one of you to SmackDown. And this whole story just boggles my mind of, like, it makes no sense. Like, why does Kurt Angle care? Why does he care so much that these two, they're not even a tag team. There's no tag division in the women's, on the women's division. There's no tag team scene. So why is it so important to him that these two are friends? Like, why does he care so much to the point that he's threatening? Like, first he threatened to fire Bayley if she didn't go to therapy to get this sorted out. And now he's threatening to send one of them to SmackDown if they don't work together. And it's like, what difference does it make if they're friends or not? It's like, what? The story makes no sense. I mean, it serves the purpose of, like, needlessly prolonging their feud until, I would imagine, their big showdown at SummerSlam, hopefully. But this has already been This feud, like I've said before, it's been dragged out way too long, and it's made no sense on the part of Kurt Angle for some reason being very invested in their relationship and just like, I just want to see you guys get back together. And if you can't work together, I'm going to punish you. Even though you've got like Braun Strowman flipping people's cars and wanting to kill Kevin Owens, but he doesn't get sent to therapy or anything like that. So it just doesn't make any sense. Like I don't understand Kurt's investment in these two. So yeah, that was the thing that got set up. Next up, we had Dolph Ziggler came out, being all smug. I still don't care about Dolph Ziggler. And, he came out. And he actually mentioned that their main event last night was the first time the Intercontinental Championship had been defended in the main event of a pay-per-view in about 17 years. And, he's just kind of gloating. And he's interrupted by the glorious Bobby Roode, who also, like Dolph Ziggler, I can't care about as a good guy because Bobby Roode is just a villain. He is a made villain. So, and his good guy face run has been ice cold. Just ice cold. It's only gotten worse since he's come to Raw. But, he comes out, talks some crap about Ziggler and tries to goad him into a match for the Intercontinental Championship. Ziggler agrees, but says, we'll do it in a regular match because I'm not defending the title against you, which, why should he? And the match was dull. The crowd wasn't into it. One, it had to follow a very, very hot opening match. And also you've got Bobby Roode, who no one cares about as a face, and you got Dolph Ziggler, who a lot of people don't care about in general. So, yeah, this match was a bit longer than it needed to be. I mean, Roode kicked out of a zigzag at one point, which I was like, that doesn't seem like a thing that should happen in this match. But he still lost. And yeah, that was about it. Lashley backstage says he can beat Brock. That's about it. Again, he's like a very, very intense turtle man. Bobby Roode, a very dejected Bobby Roode, makes his way to the back. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh man, maybe he'll turn heel. Maybe this is the breaking point. And it still could be because he's, walking around with his head down. And then Mojo Rawley, of all people, comes up to him and just punks him out. Like he's just like, I think he said something like, so much for Glorious or something like that. And just walks away laughing. And Roode doesn't say anything. And I'm thinking like, man, if Mojo Rawley is punking you out, you've hit rock bottom. So if that doesn't cause him to snap and become the terrific douchebag that Roode is known for, then I don't know. Like, the only thing worse than that would be like No Way Jose's conga line surrounding him and just like pelting him with tomatoes out of shame. They strip him naked and give him the Game of Thrones shame walk with the bells. That's the only thing worse than having Mojo goddamn Rawley putting you down. And speaking of Mojo, he had a match against Tyler Breeze. Apparently Fandango is out with an injury. I was not aware. I don't know if this is new or not. But it was nice to see Breeze wrestle a singles match again. I've always been a fan of Tyler since his NXT days. I think he can go and has proven it. I think he's one of those guys that has such a strong character and such an overwhelming character in terms of just like it's a big character, like the fashion, like even when he was by himself and he was just like the self-obsessed fashion model, and then now with the teaming with Fandango and being the fashion police, he's so over the top that I think it often overshadows the fact that he's actually a very capable in-ring worker. And, him and Mojo had a fine little match. Mojo, once again, still very much coming into his own as a heel. Like, he's getting it more and more each week in terms of his intensity. There's a great point where he did the pounce, or like the tackle to Tyler, and just turns him inside out, and he's just like, okay. Like, he just does that a lot, and I don't know why. It was funny to me, but he was really into that. He's like, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, he was saying okay, and I was also saying okay. So we were both saying okay at the same time, I guess. I don't know. But Mojo won in a pretty nothing match. Yeah. He's I would have never, in what universe would Mojo Rawley be doing better than Bobby Roode? Crazy times. All right. Next up, we had the tag team match of Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Dana Brooke and the returning Alicia Fox. And technically she returned like last week, but I think this is her first match. I don't remember her wrestling last week. Or maybe she did. I don't know. It's Alicia Fox, so she's kind of forgettable. Anyway, like I said earlier, if Bayley and Sasha can't get along, one of them may be shipped over to SmackDown. This was a pretty nothing match. The only thing that stood out was Michael Cole on commentary mentioning that he got a tweet or something from Goldust of all people, saying that he would like to be a therapist for Bayley and Sasha, which, man, we should have got that earlier, because if nothing else, that could have been funny. So I don't know if that's actually going to go anywhere, because it's very random. But anyways, this led to a double count out when Bayley was getting double teamed on the outside. And then Sasha went to go defend him and, stayed out the ring too long, and they got counted out. And then Sasha walked away from Bayley, looking all pretty much the same facial expression they've both had throughout this feud of just like, I don't know, I'm conflicted, but I'm still mad. So I don't know what this means. There was no follow-up in terms of, like, does this mean one of them gets sent to SmackDown or no? I mean, did they have to win the match or just work together? That wasn't clear either. He didn't say they had to win. So, I mean, they didn't beat each other up. They didn't lose either, so I guess they're safe, technically. So, anyways, this led to a backstage segment with Bayley, I guess confronting Sasha and saying, hey, what's up? And then Sasha just kind of, I don't want to say breaking down, because that would suggest that she started crying or anything like that, but kind of just unleashing her emotion and saying that she loves Bayley. She's like, I said it. I love you, Bayley. And I love that you're an amazing person, that you hug people, and I love the way you hold your ponytail is to the side, and I love that you've got inflatable tube men that come out, and I love your colors, and it's just everything about you is just the best. And that's why I couldn't bear to see you get beaten up despite our own issues, and then just leaves. So again, I don't know what this story is anymore. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, it seemed like it would be getting to the point that Sasha would be going closer to a full-on heel, but this is kind of like a one step forward and then two steps back of like, okay, I guess she's still a good guy, because that was kind of a sincere thing to say. And I don't know what it's gonna take for this to get to the climax that it desperately needs to reach, and has needed to reach for months now. So I don't know. Braun Strowman, he regrets not congratulating Kevin Owens on his victory after he killed Kevin by throwing him off the cell at Extreme Rules the night before. Yeah, Braun is still kind of a jerk in this whole thing. KO was not here tonight. They said he was hurt, which, yeah. And, Renee asked why he didn't kind of throw his name in the hat for the Universal title. And Braun, was like, well, why would I? I've got a briefcase that literally lets me challenge whenever I want, which he's absolutely right. So, yeah, B-Team, our new Raw Tag Team Championships. The B-Team, which, if you're not aware, the B stands for best. And now they are the best. And they battle the A-Team, otherwise known as the Ascension. And who would have thought that a matchup between the Ascension and formerly the Miztourage, like just for like somehow the Ascension have no chance against Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Like that's kind of insane to me. And this was a unremarkable match, but we got the Revival once again watching in the back, again teasing that they will be the next in line for the, or maybe not the next in line, but they are in the conversation. They are keeping them in our perception of like these guys in the near future will be going after those titles, which makes me a very, very happy panda because I love the Revival. The B team wins because the Ascension are incapable of winning matches. And after that, Matt Hardy, I'm sorry, Woken Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt appeared on screen. And Matt said that the B team has disrupted the imperial equilibrium of the heavens by taking their titles away. And I just had to write that down verbatim because I don't know. I think that's worth quoting. And declare that they will get their rematch for the tag team titles next Monday on Raw. So I actually don't know who's going to win. I could actually very easily see the B team losing the belts after a week. They are not the long-term champion type to me. They seem like fluke winners. So I'm going to call it now. I think that Hardy and Wyatt win it back. And then after the B team gets their obligatory rematch out the way, we get the Revival at SummerSlam. That's my prediction. That's my hot take. My hot takes. So, next up we had Alexa Bliss, accompanied by Mickie James, coming out to the ring and to do what Alexa does best, and that's just be a very insufferable sore winner, bragging about how she overcame Nia Jax and the Extreme Rules stipulation, as well as Ronda Rousey. And at this point, Ronda is she is not yet cleared from a suspension, but they said she had 2 days left, so Wednesday would be the final day. But that didn't stop Ronda from coming through the crowd like the goddamn Shield and hopping over and proceeding to assault both women. And again, Ronda Rousey eating a small village like a very pretty Godzilla. It always makes me happy because, damn it, is she so good at killing things. And, you know, she assaults both of them. The refs come out, try to stop it. They cannot contain the rage that is the rowdiness of Ronda Rousey, which led to Kurt Angle coming out and, telling her to, like, hey, please don't eat my champion, which then led to Baron Corbin, the constable, coming out and saying, like, hey, you need to reprimand her. She broke her suspension, which he's not wrong. And Kurt does add 1 more week to her suspension for it, but he also awards her with a Raw Women's Championship match at SummerSlam if she can stay home 1 more week and not try to murder another human being on live TV. If she can hold off on that for 1 more week, she will get the chance to murder another human being on live television, but for a championship. Ronda is all smiles about this. Alexa is not so much pleased at the realization that her life is now. If this was Death Note, you can now see the numbers with the date of her death floating on her head. We are all Shinigami now, and we can see that. So enjoy Alexa Bliss while we still have her. Next up, we got the Authors of Pain versus Titus Worldwide in a rematch from last week. And this was a complete squash that had nothing remarkable in it, as it should have been. The authors remind us that they're awesome. And yeah, I like Ronda Rousey. They're very good at eating other human beings alive. So, next up we had Ember Moon versus Sarah Logan. So this kind of mini feud between the two not injured members of the Riot Squad, along with Liv Morgan, have been targeting Ember Moon for no real reason other than general, like, we want to make trouble. And by make trouble, we're going to push over a garbage can backstage and some ladders and tear up some t-shirts and also target one very specific person. Liv Morgan had 2 shots against Ember, came up short both times, so now it is Sarah's turn. And this match had, so on commentary, the entire match, they revealed that Sarah apparently has Viking ancestry. And Sarah came to the ring sporting some kind of like Viking war paint. It wasn't a lot. Like, she didn't go like full on like Sting or Jeff Hardy like levels of paint, but she had some war paint on her face. And yeah, they spent the entire match saying that, yeah, apparently she's into Viking crap now. I don't know if this is a real thing that, like, I don't know if she actually found out that she has some Viking ancestry and they just decided to make a story out of it, or they're just making this up. Regardless, it was weird because, like, I don't know if this is like a gimmick change or if this is just something they're mentioning, but they spent the entire match talking about Viking stuff. And it's interesting because she actually, with the braids in her hair, she kind of pulls off that look relatively well. Like, she would need like an outfit change to really complete it. She's still, kind of having her as the a kind of country, because her original gimmick was that because she's from Kentucky, that she was like a country hunting farm girl and talked about doing farm stuff in a very outlandish, kind of cartoony and dumb way. So I don't know if she's gonna be a farmer country Viking. That's a weird mix, or if she's just gonna go full on Viking. She actually looks like with that paint, she looks like for you video game fans out there, if you're familiar with the game Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, she kind of, in a way, at a glance, kind of resembled Senua with the braids and the paint, at least to me, a little bit. So, but and a big surprise, Sarah beats Ember Moon, which, unless I'm forgetting something, I believe that's Ember's first singles loss. And I mean, it came with a distraction from Liv Morgan, but regardless, Sarah won, which I did not expect. Other than that, the match was fine, but wow, that Viking blood is paying dividends apparently. So, I'm curious to see where that goes with Sarah, because it was very bizarre and out of left field. And finally, that brought us to the main event. We got our second triple threat match between Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and good old Elias. Before the match, Elias gives us a performance, of course, ripping on Buffalo. So here's the thing about Elias's performances. They're great and I love them, but I hate that the commentators and specifically Michael Cole and sometimes Coach, like, laugh along with Elias. It bugs me because Elias is a villain. Despite the fact that he kind of gets crowd chants, with the whole Walk with Elias thing, he spends all of his songs just ripping whatever town he is to shreds or ripping his opponents to shreds. And it's funny, but I don't like that the commentary team, with the exception of Corey Graves, who hates Elias, which I love, I hate that they're kind of laughing along with us. If that, I wish they would not sell it the way that they do. Like, let them be, like, especially Cole, since he's kind of supposed to be, like, I guess a face or indifferent. Like, have him be, like, kind of like JR used to be when, like, Rock would do the Rock concerts. Just have him kind of condemn Alliance. I keep calling him Alliance, and I don't know why. Elias. Like, have him be like, oh, that's not cool. Like, he doesn't have to be, like, over the top, like, going off on him, but just have him being like, oh, Elias not endearing himself to these fans or anything. Like, oh my, that's my Michael Cole. Oh my, Elias, just what's he got against these people? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a weird complaint, but it always bugs me. Like, sometimes it bugs me and sometimes it makes me like just irrationally upset when they're just like, because it feels like it kind of steals any sort of heat that Elias can have if the commentators think that, oh, he's making fun of these people. How hilarious. It's like, shouldn't he be like, if he's ripping on the fan, shouldn't he be like, hey, that's not cool if you're like a good guy commentator? I don't know. And it comes off as WWE trying to be cool, I guess, in a lame way of like, hey, we know you guys think it's funny. Like, we think it's funny too. Like, we get it. We're hip. Elias is hilarious. It's like, well, yes, Elias is hilarious, but like, let us have that. You guys just deadpan, just, treat him like a heel, basically. I don't know. I hope that makes sense in terms of my reasoning for why that bugs me. But anyways, we get to the match. This match was fine. It wasn't as good as the first triple threat, but it was a fine match. There was a really cool point where, once again, Seth Rollins is seemingly has no end to his gas tank. He has a bottomless gas tank of endurance because, he wrestled a 30-minute Iron Man match the night before, and he just went all sorts of ham. In this match, there was a point where he delivered a buckle bomb to Bobby Lashley, and a buckle bomb is, it's pretty much like a power bomb, except instead of like, delivering a power bomb by slamming him to the mat, he has them on his, he has the person on his shoulders, but he runs while carrying them and throws them into the turnbuckle. And so he does this to Bobby Lashley, who Bobby Lashley is a very big man, kind of reminding us that Seth is a very strong man. He does this, and then immediately after delivering that to Bobby, he runs up the top rope, delivers a superplex to Elias, and then follows that up with his Falcon Arrow. And that's doing those three big high-impact moves, the first of which was delivered to a very large man. And to do it as effortlessly as Seth does it is insane to me, and I don't know how I guess it's CrossFit. I guess CrossFit, it pays its dividends, maybe I should look into doing CrossFit or something. But even as impressive as Seth was, in the end, Bobby Lashley picked up the win after hitting a spear to Elias, and Rollins just barely missing the count as he tried to break it up, just barely wasn't able to make it in. So next week we're going to get a rematch between Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns, and my God, they better not give Roman his win back, because I'm curious to see what a Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar match would look like. You got two, basically mirror images of each other. You got two MMA, like legit MMA fighters who are also wrestlers. If anything, Lashley, at least in terms of win percentage, I believe he has a much better record than Brock did. But, Brock had the UFC championship. So, but, two legit athletes, like, just put them in a ring and let them beat the shit out of each other. That'd be fun. And also, we haven't seen it. Whereas, do I want to see the fourth match between Reigns and Brock? No, I don't. Especially since all their matches have not been great, except for their first match at WrestleMania 31. That's the only match of theirs that I've enjoyed, which it kind of feels more like a fluke. Every time they lock up, it just doesn't deliver. It just doesn't deliver the way it used to. So we'll see what happens next week, but I'm pulling for Lashley. I'm pulling for Lashley big time. Let's get the turtle out of his shell. It's time for Roman to get shell shocked. We need a hero in a half shell to take on Brock at SummerSlam. So let's do it. Let's do it, Bobby. So, but yeah, that wraps up Raw. This was an okay episode. It started off super hot with the opening segment, and then that fantastic triple threat match, which I highly recommend watching. And then the middle, kind of the non-main event stuff was kind of dry. Not terrible, just kind of dry until we kind of picked back up with the main event stuff at the end. But it's a better show because there's now clear focus in terms of the world title scene. Like, now that it's back in the picture and the top guys have something to chase, it felt less like a like just a mess of just like, we don't know what to do with all these guys because there's nothing for them to do. And I'm curious to see what the superstars that did not win their triple threats, where they go. Like, where does Finn Balor go from here? Where does Seth Rollins go? Rollins, I'm very curious about. Does he go after the Intercontinental title again? Does he get in a feud with? I don't know. I don't actually. I really don't know. What do you do with Seth actually now? I kind of in my mind was convinced that he would get the title shot against Brock, even though it was very much a kind of hoping against hope. But man, I thought after the year he's been having, I thought this would be a great way to kind of like cap it off. But we'll see what they do with him. But yeah, Monday Night Raw. We'll see next week. Big matches. Thanks for listening as always. I'll be back with SmackDown Live review tomorrow. The show's tonight. And again, like, share, subscribe. You can do the same on iTunes, or you can do the same on Podbean. Just search for Marcus Riceball Games and you'll find episodes of Call It In the Ring there when you can get them automatically. So until next time, thanks for listening. Have a good day.